Now, fresh off the summer break, McLaren came in swinging. Zandvoort wakiingia walikuwa tu
win how many 20 seconds?
22
seconds.
And
is it the largest winning margin this season?
Yes.
Now, do you remember when this guy last year he was like Red Bull, we are used to I'm not happy with the Red Bull win. Why aren't you happy with the Red Bull win? Because it wasn't 25 seconds plus. I was like,
I said that.
Your time will come. Your time will
and
come.
Time was good. I was living large.
He was living large. Ulikuwa unakuja set ya Pitboard, ulikuwa unapata bendera za Red Bull everywhere. Squeeze hadi aliacha kuvaa t-shirt ya Red Bull. Alikuwa anakuja daily t-shirt na kofia za Red Bull.
Don't do that.
Yeah, nowadays
we are shooting this a few days after Monza, man.
Okay.
I need to let like the polo, the shirt and the need to
let them air out.
Yeah. We'll be back.
Okay. It's been airing out for a couple of weeks now. Is it months actually? It's actually a couple of months. It's actually 3-4 months.
Plead the fifth.
3-4 months. Anyway, kwani kwa Atlantic huko hakuna jua. Anyway, I digress. Now, McLaren came in swinging and when Norris had that emphatic win, because it was an emphatic win, and it was so emphatic, he was one metric short from a Grand Slam win. And that's leading every lap of the race. That's the only metric he didn't meet to get his first Grand Slam. His second win, I think. Yeah.
I think. It was his second win.
Yeah, this guy doesn't have that many wins.
Don't do that.
Just say, I think 1, 2. It's not even a handful. And I had a particular issue with the Formula 1 official account on Twitter. Or any other form of social media. I don't know if they posted it on Instagram.
And talk to them.
On Twitter. They came with a graphic that says statement win. I was like, what statement? I want to know what statement it is, because they wanted to play it, or they wanted to act like Lando was now the guy. I'll still never accept this notion of Lando is that guy, because I just have my own reservations on the guy.
It's okay,
he's a good driver. He's a top driver, don't get me wrong. LN4, top driver. I like him as a driver, but he's not where Max is. He's not where Charles is. He's not where Lewis is. And that's a fact. And I actually think Piastri is. In fact, I'll kick this off with Oscar versus Lando. And we had this discussion a few episodes back, and you guys were adamant Lando is the better driver.
Yeah,
still is.
Well, according to lap 3 of Monza, was it lap 3 or lap 1? Lap 1 of Monza.
Lap 1 turn 4.
Turn 4, 5 Apple. Lap 1. Was it a chicane turn?
Yeah,
it was a chicane turn. According to that didn't seem to be the case to me. Equal machinery, allowed to race. And he was hijacked in one of the most brutal ways in motorsport. Now, if you didn't see it, please just pause the video right there. Go watch what happened. For copyright reasons, we can't upload it for you. But that was what I needed to see. That was what I needed to see. And I don't know. I'm cherry picking here. You said I have a knack of cherry picking things. I'm cherry picking here. But with all these top drivers, we have these moments of brilliance whereby they have to be super aggressive or timid. Now, and this was Oscar showing us, hey, I can be super aggressive. Now, Lando has been in the sport for quite some time, but I've only ever seen him being super aggressive this season with the whole Max Verstappen situation. That's when I've seen him being super aggressive. Now, Oscar, this is his rookie year, if I'm not wrong.
Nope. Second year.
Okay, second. Well, he was there last year. Oh, yeah, he was there last year. Yeah, he was there last year. Sorry. I'm getting my dates mixed up. But he's still, I don't want to call him green. He's turning yellow. He's away from the green part of things. He's turning yellow. One experience, that's okay. He's turning yellow. Now, and he's still putting in performances like this. Now, others might argue the car, Lando didn't have a good car from back then and things like that. But Oscar, since the day he came into the sport,
he was really close to Lando.
Exactly.
Qualifying. Even when they were back, they were suffering.
I know.
Yeah.
And he just had something in him. He looked different. I don't know if it's because, his manager is also a former...
Mark Webber?
Yeah, didn't win a championship. But wanna
Did you just have to throw in? You have a thing for throwing just people under the bus, yeah.
You introduced that name specifically.
Yeah, you have to throw
Specifically.
just to remind him.
people that
Yeah.
you know that guy, he didn't win a championship.
I need to go to therapy. I'm sorry. No, it's a banter club.
Haters
We are here
ball.
the Pitboard Banter Discussions Club. This is our club for bantering, guys. Is that a bad thing?
Well, this is not Dave Chappelle's haters ball. It's okay. But proceed, sir.
The players' ball. It's taking my mind away. No, looking at all the pimps who are hating. Sorry, that was a good one. I'm sorry, but anyway, now performance-wise, I think Oscar has been closer to Lando than people care to actually acknowledge, and I think McLaren acknowledge it, and that's why McLaren have always been adamant there is no number one driver, and I think Lando is kind of salty with the whole he is not being emphatically backed to challenge for the championship, because in Lando's sights, in Lando's POV, he actually has his sights set on the championship this year, because it begins with the talks, how somebody carries themselves in a press conference. Now, the moment Lando started getting that consistent P2, P3, he was like, we're not challenging for the championship, but we want to get the team back there. The moment he got his first win, the tone changed. I'm looking for the championship. You remember when they were begging him to let Oscar pass? No, I have a championship. I'm fighting for a championship. And I was like, bro, it's only one win, and you're already fighting for the championship.
And they're still playing the underdog gimmick. Like, we didn't have the fastest car. Ferrari had the fastest car to Monza. Like, bruh, what race did you just participate in?
I mean, he had just won with 20 seconds.
And this is what I said earlier. The personnel in McLaren, they are not used to being in these positions where they have a car that can win, and then they are not winning. You see, Hamilton and Max made it look easy that when you have a fast car, it's an automatic win. But now we are seeing that if having a fast car is not an automatic win.
Now, you guys, and you kind of ambushed me with this comment. These guys are not experienced enough and blah, 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 blah. I did my research. I did my research. Who are these guys you're talking about that aren't versed with the whole being at the front of the field thing? The management, yeah?
As a
team, McLaren.
Them as a collective.
As a collective.
The current
yeah.
McLaren team.
Yes.
And who guides the people? The top guys, the supervisors, the team principals, and all that. Now, let's look at where these guys were from. Where was Andrea Stella from?
Ferrari.
Exactly. Were Ferrari challengers the past decade?
During the turbo hybrid era?
The past decade. From now, 10 years back. Have they been challengers of the sport?
I think once or twice.
Yeah, they have been challengers of the sport. So they know what it means to win races. So Andrea Stella was there.
But he wasn't, as in, remember again, we're talking about them as a collective.
I want to know who else.
No, I wanted to
battery. No battery.
No, network nimepotea, signal nimepotea. No, but I also wanted to talk about their technical directors. Yametoka Mercedes. The technical directors yametoka Mercedes. Anaitwa Mike Crack kama
Mike Crack ni
Red Bull, ni Aston.
Rob Marshall.
Hizo majina I need to now know these names za McLaren now tukawa. Mimi najuanga tu za timu yangu.
As in when you talk about them not being battle tested, we're talking about them as a collective. As in with these drivers with the current grid.
From the drivers, from
every time
we said there are three things. There's pit stops.
There are three things.
Which they've improved on.
No. How many things are there?
3. Okay. There was pit stops. Strategy. What was the other one?
And so if you already have the car, you just need 3 things. You need the driver, pit stops, and strategy.
Yes. And
and luck, which is never met.
But a constructors championship, if you are to win a constructors championship, you can throw luck out of there because you have so many chances of.
If you already have the fastest car,
you can't throw luck out of there because again, 2009 there's a team which won with luck, sheer luck. I won't continue. There's a driver. There's a specific driver who won the championship.
Somebody is winning multiple races, and you're saying that's luck.
That wasn't luck.
Winning multiple races.
Luck appears in many forms.
They had.
You could be lucky to have found or to have discovered technology or a loophole that anybody, all the other guys don't have.
Lucky.
Toyota also had that diffuser in 2009.
Not the first part of the season.
No, from the beginning. It was only Toyota
Really?
and it was only
I
Toyota.
thought it was just Braun who had the
Braun and Toyota. If you go and check the results, Toyota were doing well. So at the second
half of the season,
Sasa everybody caught up.
Anyway, we digress.
Okay, now going back, I was saying Hamilton and Max made winning look easy if you have the fastest car. But we are seeing the possibility of things going wrong are so high. Like when you're not paying attention, like in Monza, we see that if, let's say they were committed to a one-stop and Piastri had clean air, like that would have been an automatic win. Even Hamilton was, during the interview, let me finish. During the interview, he said, when he had the times the McLaren were doing, I was surprised, like they were pushing a lot. And he knew those tires are not going to last. And you have clean air. Then, they're going for a two-stopper because they saw Nani pit. And also they were trying to cover some Charles who was behind. But for a person who is used to winning and is in this position, this is really hard, especially when you have led the first stint to lose that race and you have the fastest car.
Track position and you have the fastest car.
Yeah, you have track position and you have the fastest car. So for me, I say McLaren, they really need to go down, and I don't know what they're going to do, but they really need to go down. And now coming back to Lando and Piastri. Now, if you go back to Hungary, I told you guys that if I was Lando, I would not have given that top position because when you put that helmet and you close the visor, you're on your own, and you are there not to become number 2, you're there to become number 1, and that is what Piastri showed. And I think since Mark Webber was number 2,
tendency.
Since Mark Webber was like number 2 driver in Red Bull, alienda akaambia Piastri, you know what, you're not, put it in the contract. I believe that
Piastri, not a number 2 driver.
Yeah, he cannot be like to be a number 2 driver. And because of that, Piastri also knew that if you start playing second fiddle, that's where you'll be put. Yeah. So he needed to find a way to make a statement. And
he had to make it at Monza
as soon as possible.
Yeah, as soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
You know, it's not taking me back to when you were talking about guys in a jail cell. Now, ukifika kwa jail cell, you have to establish dominance.
Yes. he took a long time to do it. And in Monza, actually, it's good he did it in the first. He did it in the first lap. So that is a driver. If now, let's say, imagine, let's say Monza is done, and the next is Hungary, and we know events turn out as they did. Like this is Lando racing in Hungary, and the previous race just is Monza and what happened. Do you think he would have given back that position?
No.
Every driver there is fighting for himself. Now, for Lando in that overtake, I think he was caught off guard. He didn't. I don't think he expected Piastri to go for that move. But as far as racing is concerned, it's a very fair move.
He was like looking at his rear mirrors, and he was like, Oscar.
Yeah, and he was told that you're gonna need Oscar. I don't know what happened.
What happened?
Yeah, and these Papaya Rules. Did you read them?
What are these Papaya Rules?
Let me get these Papaya Rules.
Everybody wants to look at the Papaya Rules. What are these Papaya Rules?
They did.
I know for a fact. Lando wasn't happy, but I think Lando only has himself to blame because again I talked about this the previous episode immediately. The immediate previous episode from this, I talked about this and I said, listen, if you are a top driver, you have to have top stats. Yeah, you can't be a top driver without top stats. You can't always, when you are talking about do we have a starting coach or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you're a top driver, you have to have top stats. You can't be here a top driver. You've had the fastest car, I don't know since when. And you're here always getting mugged on lap 1, turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. You're always getting mugged. And then you come here and, throw some scare tactic tantrums over here in mid race huku unaanza kuharass watu with your Mad Max car over there. Kazi yako tu ni kuenda kupea watu mapancha.
You're digressing.
Anyway.
Okay, when you look at it, do you see as okay? Me, I see as McLaren the one with the problem, because let me explain. You see, when Mercedes were winning or any other team that is winning, when you start the season, see there are two drivers.
Mm-hmm.
They are not team orders. Okay, then as time goes by, we start seeing who is there. Okay, who has most points? Let me finish. So when you discover that one driver has more points, like he gets the first upgrades when they come in, and if there's a chance or there's a shot of him winning a championship, he's backed up by the team. But these Papaya rules, it's like they don't want to hurt anybody, but the problem with that, it's costing them, because if they sat down and said, listen, we are going for this drivers' championship with Lando, and you were established like that, I believe they can do it. But they don't want to do it.
Now, let me put it like this. I don't think McLaren are at fault here because of one specific reason.
Yeah.
And the reason I don't think they're at fault is the drivers haven't capitalized on the points as expected. Now, McLaren have been having the fastest car since, I don't know, Miami. Yeah? How many race wins do they have to show for that? 3. 1 Oscar win and 2 Lando wins. How many races have happened since Miami? From Miami. How many pole positions have they gotten? They've gotten a couple. How many times have they messed up the race due to driver error or driver incapabilities into getting the job done? That's like 4 or 5 races. I can count them.
Wait, which one? Driver. Where driver, you can say...
Driver messed up. The moment Lando has pole and he messes up on lap 1, that's already a driver error. That's already a driver error, because the team is now going to start to mitigate tactics of how they will actually manage the race from that era going forward. Mm-hmm. That's already a mistake. Now, listen, if for the whole conventional driver number 1, driver number 2 to work, one of the drivers could have capitalized with the machinery they had and the advantages they had on the grid. But that one driver who should have capitalized was Lando. He should have, and didn't. So the team are not obliged to give him driver number 1 status, because the team are not also confident in him being driver number 1. Now, takes me back in 2016. 2016, Rosberg and Lewis. The reason there wasn't a driver number 1, number 2 scenario back then, it's also because those guys are performing at par. When people are performing at par, you can't come in and talk about driver number 1 or driver number 2. The reason Red Bull have driver number 1 and driver number 2 is because Max Verstappen was clearly the better driver to Checo.
Wait,
Ferrari
driver number 1 and number 2
hold on. Ferrari, there's a time you guys asked me about who's the number 1 driver at Ferrari, and there was a point in time this is the song I was singing. I was like, there is no number 1 driver for Ferrari, because Ferrari hadn't explicitly said so. And the reason they didn't explicitly say it was because these guys are performing at a similar level. Charles and Sainz are performing at a similar level. The gap between them wasn't more than 25 points, 30 points. Now, McLaren, same case. Okay, now I think Lando has quite a lead, Kiasi. But, again, Lando hasn't clearly shown he is the driver number. He hasn't before you establish dominance in the team, you have to establish the dominance on track. Because what is the number 1 rule of Formula 1? Who's your number 1 enemy?
It's your teammate.
Exactly. Has Lando clearly put it on paper that he's actually better than Piastri?
Yes.
How?
Point
I don't
wise.
think.
See, he has more points than Piastri.
Yeah, he
look
has
at
more
the points.
points, but it's not a blowing out of the water situation.
Okay, there's something which we said last year, and we were, I don't know if we called this already, but last year we were saying after McLaren started performing, and we were now clearly seeing that Lando and Piastri with a good car, they are almost, as in, the difference isn't as large.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Considering Piastri is a rookie. Yeah. And we were saying there's a possibility McLaren might be in shit if they turn up with a championship winning car and both drivers are operating at 100%. Because at that point you have to prioritize. And this happens if you don't explicitly say, like, this is our number 1 driver, we are going to put the entire weight of the team on him. Mm-hmm. So McLaren, in this case, where they're saying, Lando, you're not a number 1 driver, Piastri, you're not a number 1 driver.
Just race.
And this is why I'm just calling it BS. Because there's this thing that Mushiri always says. When a driver puts down that visor, they don't give, as in if you've never put them in their place, they don't care about about that person. Yeah?
Piastri would overtake Lando even if it means overtaking Lando will lose the championship.
Yes. Piastri would do that.
He will do that.
You think?
Yes.
Yes.
He
hasn't been given the Bottas treatment. Sit there, we should never see you.
He hasn't been given the Valtteris, James.
He hasn't been given.
He hasn't gotten that yet.
Yeah.
I actually see this actually coming to fruition. Somewhere down along this season, Mahali, there will be a situation whereby the gap between Max and Lando will be something like, what's the gap now? 30 points? 50 points?
No, it's 60, 62.
But the gap between the teams is something like
30 something, yeah.
30
25.
points.
I think so.
Now the gap between the drivers, Max and Lando,
60
points. Yeah. That's around 3 races.
If
arguably.
Max DNFs and Lando.
If Max finishes Okoma P6, P7, and Lando is winning all the races and getting the fastest lap here. Now, I see a situation whereby the point difference is something close to 10, 8, 7, mali hapo. And there's like a race where Max ako huko ana struggle na ma P8 huko. Na we need Oscar. I mean, Oscar ako hapo P1 na Lando ako hapo labda P2 ama P3. And they need Lando to win that race because wamebakisha one more race in the season yenye Lando could actually win the championship.
Maybe now the Papaya Rules might be different.
I see a situation
as per now, Papaya Rules
Yeah.
will not prevent Piastri
Yeah.
overtaking.
And that's the thing that's making people go bonkers about this.
especially
As in, like, Norris has a shot at the championship. Mathematically.
Yes.
Red Bull are at their weakest.
iko watu wanaombea
If I
Norris
can
in
put it that
championship.
way. Yeah. And McLaren have the fastest
You
car.
know
And the team is not like calling it out like saying, yo, Piastri,
I think
we'll let this guy through. And this is why I think what Mushiri is saying, maybe there's a clause in Piastri's
Makweba
says,
amepitia hiyo
Yeah.
number 2 akamwambia wewe
You know,
there's no favoritism.
there's like a saying that goes, when you come at the king you best not miss. And McLaren should actually be very, very careful. They are attacking Red Bull right now. Red Bull are looking vulnerable. The championship is open for the taking. And if they do not take their chances well enough, they could get a point where Red Bull wanaweza pata tu like an uptick in performance. Because again, these cars are very sensitive. Unaweza pata, it's just one tweak away.
Bruh, Marco said we are going to respond at Austin.
Wait, for constructors, you see, for constructors, it's more or less McLaren's. They're not
To
far.
lose.
Yes.
And
But
they're
for
already
drivers, I don't know, like, is drivers, constructors more important? I mean,
What's more prestigious?
Constructors, is it more important to because
To the team, to teams, constructors, yes.
more than the drivers?
Because there is money.
Now, that's actually a very
Sponsors.
good question. No, that's actually
Because
a very
McLaren,
good
the way
question.
they're behaving like constructors. Like, if both our drivers are finishing well in the points, we're going to get the constructors.
Why not both?
But for going for the drivers' championship, it's like they don't want that.
That's a tricky question because now for Ferrari it's a different story.
Ferrari is legacy. It's about legacy.
Monza. They just want to win at Monza.
No.
Luigi.
Ferrari will rather their driver wins a championship and they
Yes.
not win the constructors.
Yes.
They do not care.
Yes.
I mean,
Actually, they care about the driver winning because
Because to them, money is not an issue.
and crazy enough, it was also the same case at Red Bull. Red Bull for the longest time have always cared about their driver winning the championship more than the team winning the constructors.
in 21, it was about the driver winning. And they put all the chips.
I've seen a couple of times where Red Bull have actually been like, the drivers won, that's okay, that's good enough.
Yeah, that's good enough. But last year, when Max finished P1 and Checo finished P2, that was a first for Red Bull.
Yeah, like, we've never really seen them openly chase that. The McLaren are openly chasing the constructors. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, as in this McLaren thing.
It's McLaren are like trying to walk with your shoelace Mexicana. And this is what I'm trying to say. And we have seen it since Kitambo. Beginning of the season, there's no number 1 driver. But when you reach a certain point, one driver is ahead with points, and that driver has a chance of winning a drivers' championship. You put all your chips there.
In the process, well, they risk losing Piastri. Because now Piastri, as in, look at Monza. Piastri has shown like, you just won't put me in a corner. Just because I qualified P2.
Then he should have had more points at this point. He should have had more points than Lando.
Fun fact.
But he's as a driver, he's developing. We've always said Piastri qualifying, he's really quick. He can match Lando qualifying. Come race day, there are a few things which he still needs to work
polish. And even he says, even he himself he says so.
And that's this. I think it's now dawning on McLaren that if this guy actually fixes his 1, 2, 3, 4 things, we might be having like a super team, but this might also be, it may turn chaotic.
Yeah.
Because if Piastri right now is not willing to be put in a corner, as in they don't have to say it explicitly.
I think
Papaya rules, yes, mess about, whatever. But we all know rule number 1, don't take out your enemy. But if Piastri was in this case where he knows Norris has a shot at the World Drivers Championship, but he was still sending it, Piastri is not there to play second fiddle. And I believe in the process, if McLaren tell Piastri, you sit in that corner, you're number 2, they might end up losing Piastri.
They might have like a situation there.
Which
might get him
this
off.
comes to like, what is more important, the driver or the team?
Now, who's more important to McLaren, Lando or Piastri?
Okay, to them, they're both drivers. They all
No. Let me ask that question, because that's a question we rarely ask. Let me ask that question: who's more important to McLaren, Lando or Piastri? Because remember what McLaren did.
They are the same.
Remember what McLaren did to get Piastri out of Alpine's hands. Remember how far they went. Now, Lando has been with the team for a few years and he has led them to the top. But who's more important, though?
Is it the past or the future?
The past or
Is it
the
the past,
present,
is it the current, or
the present or the future? Who's more important?
They are both equally important.
Sponsors.
We are not,
Yeah,
we're not
the
doing that.
sponsors,
We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
You see, when you want to win, you have to have a driver who can win. And in McLaren, Lando and Piastri, they can win. So in terms of who is important, I think that's not the issue. The issue is, how do we win? You have to give, even if they lose Piastri, you want to tell me they will not find another driver who they can win a constructors and a drivers championship?
I don't think there are many drivers as talented as Piastri. I think Piastri is one of a kind.
If you look at the rookies now,
if listen,
he's clearly
if
on
they
top
lose
of that
if
list.
they lose Piastri and they have this car as it is, do you think it is impossible for them to win drivers and constructors championship?
Yeah,
I think it's harder.
Lando.
Huh?
I think it's harder.
We have another Lando.
I think
We have
it's harder
Carlos and Lando there.
because looking at what happened with
What you need to win for those.
looking at what happened with Ricardo joining McLaren and the gap in performance between the two drivers, Lando and Daniel Ricciardo. I think it's really rare to find this dynamic, the dynamic they have, where both drivers are performing at optimum level. I think it's rare. It's a rare find.
I don't think we've seen Piastri at optimum level. And I think
Yes, yet to reach
he's yet to get there.
And this is exactly why I said, and this is exactly why I talked about me thinking Piastri kind of edges it for me for Lando. I know I didn't use the same terms. I'm now being conservative with my words. But for me, I think Piastri, OP 2081. OP 81 is no joke. OP 81 is no joke. And I have an eye for talent. but that's a story for another day. I honestly believe. Now, taking Max away from the picture. Taking Max away from the equation.
Just
Let me just finish it. Let me get it out. Taking Max away from the picture. I think that the best two, Lewis Hamilton is undoubtedly, arguably the greatest of all time. Now, we won't talk about Lewis, but looking at the drivers minusing Lewis and Verstappen, I honestly believe the best drivers on that grid currently are Charles and Oscar. I think Oscar is closer to Charles than
Are you
Lando
talking
is.
about current Oscar or the potential in Oscar?
Everything. I'm just taking him as a package.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's your opinion.
You had some comments on the MCL 36 or
38.
38.
I was happy to see it chew its front tire. But that car, I don't know what McLaren cooked.
Flexible.
Bruh. Monza was one place where I was expecting that car, as in we see the dragginess of that car being displayed out,
Being exploited.
in the public. Bruh,
Nothing.
those boys were quick. And if they won at Zandvoort,
And
they
also
won at
on
Hungary, which is the higher downforce tracks, and
And
they
they-
won at Monza, which is a low downforce track.
Okay, they didn't win, but they
Sorry,
were the fastest.
sorry, yeah,
They
they
had
were the fastest,
car.
sorry. They're actually the best, as in they have the best car to win the rest of the races till
We
the
only
end of
have
the
one
year.
more place to know. We know
Right.
Singapore.
No,
you're
yeah, I
gonna
know
say
it's Singapore because we know Ferrari winning in Monza.
Mm.
Part of the reason they won in Monza is because Monza has low speed corners, and we know the Ferrari engine is optimized for, like, it has the best acceleration.
Traction, yeah.
Yeah, and the low speed corners were actually a pro for the Ferrari cars, and the McLarens also performed well because that was a weakness for them at some point in time. Because we remember they were good at high speed cornering tracks and things like that. But now,
But they have won in Monza.
looking at the races remaining, I think we still have Las Vegas. We still have Vegas. We have Singapore. Azerbaijan, I'm not really sure about it.
Azerbaijan also has, as in, slow corners. 'Cause
Yeah.
we're talking about 90-degree corners.
But it's 50-50.
You have to
50-50.
stop.
They have high-speed corner. They have a high-speed
Azerbaijan, do they have any high-speed
corner.
corner?
They have one. The one
Where?
just before you get to the
It's
castle.
like a straight line.
It's a straight.
It's
but,
like
Where?
It's like turn 3 of Austria.
hey, I wouldn't
It's
call
like
the turn numbers.
Azerbaijan.
They don't have.
They
don't-
I'm
they don't
saying
have a
it's
high-speed
50.
corner.
It's not like a corner.
It's just a straight line, but it has like a bend. to
After
it.
the castle section.
Yeah. No, before you get to the castle section. No, before you get.
No,
After
the
that
third sector. The third
Yes.
To,
sector.
yeah, the final
Yes.
sector.
Before you break and go downhill. That car, I consider that a straight. As in, okay, it's not a straight.
It's like a straight. It's like. in
but you
Vegas.
don't break there. You're flat out.
Yeah, you're flat out.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're flat out.
I'll put it like this.
Baku has 90-degree corners there.
So we still have. Is it Saudi Arabia?
Is it still on the calendar?
We have Saudi Arabia.
Bahrain.
Wait.
No,
we
is it?
did
It's
Saudi Arabia
Bahrain.
already
That
happened.
was Bahrain.
It was.
Yeah, that was Bahrain.
What were the two opening races?
Bahrain and.
and Lusail. Lusail.
Don't we have a Saudi Arabia huko chini huko karibu na
Saudi
Abu Dhabi?
Arabia, Jeddah. We're talking about Saudi Arabia, it's Jeddah.
Oh, Jeddah.
Yes.
What have I said?
There's Lusail. I don't know if you're referring to Lusail.
I'm not talking about Lusail.
Okay.
Lusail ni wapi?
Qatar.
Qatar. Is it Qatar on the calendar really?
See, I thought it was supposed to be bumped
Guys,
up or something
guys,
because cool
guys.
attempts or something.
Check it. Me, I know we have 2 Middle East races remaining.
2. Of
I'm
course,
not
the
counting
last one.
Azerbaijan. I think there's another one.
Then it has to be Lusail because those are the only 2
Anyway.
which I know that are left. That are
Taking away from it, championship outlook for McLaren. McLaren have gotten the lion's share of today's episode.
Driver-wise, mathematically, I think Lando has a higher probability of getting the drivers' championship.
Yeah, it is there. So we have
Jeddah.
the next one is Azerbaijan, Singapore, US. That's Qatar, Mexico. This is the one that give Checo his seat. Make Checo keep his seat. Then Brazil, of course, Las Vegas, and then there's Qatar. Qatar is there.
Yeah, I
And
knew
then
there
Abu
was
Dhabi.
another Middle East track,
Yeah.
banner.
Yeah. And Lusail has no special characteristics. Well, of course, apart from the high trunk.
No,
track-
I wasn't
track and
really
ambient
sure
stumps.
if it was Lusail or Saudi Arabia because I know one of them is the fastest street circuit.
That's Jeddah.
That's Jeddah. And then I
Saudi
wasn't
Arabia.
really sure on which.
Jeddah,
so that
Jeddah
it
was
could
the
actually
second
win.
race. And
Yeah.
I remember it is the one that had that holiday that made us race on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had was it Eid Mubarak or something like that?
I don't remember.
Yeah, they had some Ramadan going on.
Mm.
Anyway, so championship outlook for McLaren, both drivers and constructors.
Constructors, I think it's it's for them to lose.
Mm-hmm.
For if they decide to back Lando, they can get the. If they decide to back Lando, they can get the drivers. But It seems they won't. So
Man, I'm really hoping Mercedes and Ferrari pull up their socks.
they share the points.
Take away points from these two
Yeah,
McLarens.
he's actually looking at the bigger picture here.